Yo, what is up guys? It's me exactly back bringing some more daily NBA news. As always, you guys are the real MVPs for coming back each and every single day. Seriously, can't thank you enough. And hey, if you're new here, if this is your first time joining us, then welcome. You guys are also greatly appreciated. But make sure that you smack that sub button and hit the bell as well so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. But now, let's just take a look at everything that is going on in the NBA. But first, a quick word about this video's sponsor, SportsQ Trivia, the best trivia app for NBA fans looking to win some cash. Essentially, all you do is watch highlights and answer questions based on current events going on in the NBA, and if you get all the questions right, then you win your share of the cash prizes. It's that simple. There are live games every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, meaning that there will be one later today. You can go download the app by using the links in the description box below. First up in the news, NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski reported yesterday that Karl Anthony Towns most likely isn't going anywhere. And this comes after we received reports a few days ago stating that Karl Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves aren't getting along so well. And the reasoning for this change, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, is because the Minnesota Timberwolves would rather fire Tom Thibodeau than trade Karl Anthony Towns. As he said this, "I think their owner would trade management and the coach before he would trade Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think they would allow that. I don't believe they would allow that kind of decision, and I don't know that they'd want to trade him." To answer this first, Minnesota's bigger issue is not Karl Anthony Towns. They're not moving him. Towns is eligible for his extension this summer. You know Jimmy Butler. It's more of a question about Andrew Wiggins. That to me would be if someone was going to get traded, and I'm not saying that anyone is going to get moved. I think Andrew Wiggins is the one you're going to be looking at first, because you don't have to make a decision on Towns and Jimmy Butler and one of those guys having to take less on an extension, because you can't have three max guys. So basically he said the Wolves would fire Tibbs before they traded Towns. Also that if anyone is going to get traded, it's most likely going to be Andrew Wiggins, which makes sense. And I also want to say that I think Tom Thibodeau might have been the worst thing to happen to Minnesota in a long time. Outside of the guys that he had on his squad back in Chicago, no one on that team likes Tom Thibodeau. And being honest here, looking back at it, the trade he made for Jimmy Butler was kind of an L for Minnesota. Actually, it was a huge L for Minnesota, giving up Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, and Chris Dunn, meaning that they could have had a starting lineup of Dunn, LaVine, Wiggins, Markkanen, and Karl Anthony Towns. Under the right coaching, that could have been one of the most promising teams in the NBA. Dunn showed us this year with the Chicago Bulls that it was Tibbs who was holding him back in his rookie season, as he looked like an up-and-coming young star for the Chicago Bulls. And with the lack of real overall development in both Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns since they entered the league, you just have to get the feeling that Tom Thibodeau isn't the best when it comes to player development. And if Towns really is unhappy because of Tom Thibodeau, then the Wolves have to fire Tom Thibodeau. It's as simple as that. You don't let Karl Anthony Towns go to keep Tom Thibodeau. But that also does suck, because that means your chances of keeping Jimmy Butler are even less likely, since he's about to be a free agent not this summer but next summer. And if he leaves, you're left with just Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, because Tom Thibodeau traded away all of your other young talent for Jimmy Butler. It's pretty much a lose-lose situation here. So like I said, Tom Thibodeau is probably the worst thing that happened in Minnesota in quite some time. For our next story, Kyle Kuzma was just selected to the All-NBA rookie team along with Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and Lauri Markkanen. Was interviewed yesterday while he was in the Los Angeles Lakers training facility. And during this interview, he was asked about the work that both he, Lonzo, and really the rest of the Lakers have been putting in so far this summer. And first off, well, the guy already looks a lot more swole than he did last year. And he said himself that he can already see the gains.
And have you added muscle?
You can tell.
Looks like it, man.
Something like that, yeah.
So there is that's exciting. And he also said that Lonzo Ball has been taking his weightlifting a lot more seriously, and that should for sure help him stay healthy next season.
You said at the end of the season that you knew Lonzo, this was a big summer for Lonzo, and you knew Lonzo was kind of going to rise to the occasion. What have you seen from Lonzo so far?
Consistency in the weight room, that's the biggest thing. He's been in there pretty much every day I've been in here around this time, and you could tell you know, he's taking the weight room a lot more serious, and you know that's going to help him by allowing him to, you know, recover faster, and you know, hopefully next year be on the court more because of that weight room. So.
Lonzo Ball only played 52 games during the regular season last year, as he missed a lot of times with nagging injuries. So physically, he just wasn't ready for how taxing an 82-game regular season can be in the NBA. And we've already seen plenty of reports come out this summer saying that this is exactly what the Lakers want from Lonzo Ball. Both Magic Johnson and the GM Rob Pelinka have said that Lonzo Ball has to come back a lot stronger next season. Rob Pelinka even went as far as to say this: "We sat down with a picture of MVP and first team All-NBA players, and we said, here is their body when they were 20, here's their body when they were 23, and they all became all-stars and MVPs. When you see that transformation, it was a commitment to the weight room and to getting strong." Also saying, "For us to succeed, Lonzo knows he has to be able to physically take on an 82-game season and then a playoff stretch, and to do that, he needs to improve his body. We challenged him there. He's already in the weight room working on that." I'm really interested to see how this all pays off for the Los Angeles Lakers and Lonzo Ball, how much better he can come back next season just by hitting the weight room. Because if Lonzo is ever going to become the player he was hyped up to be, then he's for sure going to need to be able to play more than 52 games. Next up in the news, former NBA player Glen Big Baby Davis just can't stay out of trouble, as he has just been arrested on assault charges for an altercation that he had back in April. And get this, according to reports, Davis almost hit a man with his car, and the guy, I guess, confronted Davis afterwards, and Davis responded by getting out of his car, slamming the guy to the ground, which caused the man to suffer multiple broken ribs, facial fractures, along with a broken tooth. Jesus! And Davis has already been released on a $50,000 bail. But I mean, this is already the second time this year that he's gotten in trouble with the law. A few months back, he was arrested on drug charges. So Glen Davis, what you doing? For our next story, get this, the Phoenix Suns came this close to trading for Kristaps Porzingis last offseason, as we got reports once again from none other than Adrian Wojnarowski, as he said this yesterday. "Last year, I thought Phoenix had a chance to get Porzingis if they were willing to put the 4th pick in, which would have been Josh Jackson. Porzingis wasn't super enthusiastic about Phoenix and what his future would have been there. They wanted to be able to re-sign him, so I guess showing some restraint there." So the Suns and the Knicks had trade discussions surrounding Kristaps Porzingis and the 4th pick, which eventually would have been Josh Jackson, who the Knicks reportedly really wanted last summer during the NBA draft. But the Suns weren't sure if Porzingis will be willing to re-sign with them long term, so they weren't going to pull the trigger on the trade. Now, the jury is still out on Josh Jackson and how good he can be as an NBA player. I do personally think he's going to be pretty good at the very least, but the possibility of pairing Kristaps Porzingis with Devin Booker, it just seems like something that you would have to roll the dice on. And for our final story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, NBA history has just been made, as for the first time since they signed Kevin Durant, the Golden State Warriors have lost more than one game in a playoff series. That's right, the Houston Rockets defeated them yesterday to tie the series up at 2 games apiece. And the Rockets did this after coming all the way back from 12 down in the 4th quarter. Their season was pretty much on the line, and they played like it. And during one of the last possessions for the Warriors, when they had a chance to tie the game up after a James Harden miss, but wound up with a pretty bad attempt by Klay Thompson, a lot of people were questioning Steve Kerr and why he didn't call a timeout. But after the game, Steve Kerr came on and said that he and Draymond Green both tried to call a timeout, but the refs didn't hear them.
What was kind of your vantage point on that final scramble play when KD's pushing it up court, and did you ever think of taking a timeout when Klay was trapped?
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I wanted the timeout. Draymond was trying to call one around 4 seconds once he got trapped, and at that point, the officials weren't looking, and they're not going to look down at our bench. So I saw Draymond trying to call it, and I was hoping they'd give it to us, but we didn't get it.
But he also said that he is all for pushing the ball up after a miss and not having to go up against a set defense coming out of a timeout.
But I'm always a proponent of pushing the ball off of a miss rather than taking a timeout, letting the defense get set up. So I thought we would get a better shot in transition. That's why I let him play.
And according to Durant, if he had a chance to do all of this over again, he would have.
Definitely wish I got had that last play back. So I'm gonna watch film and see what my options were, and just hopefully if I'm in that position again, I'll be better.
Guys, we have a real series on our hand here. Don't be surprised if this one goes the distance. Anyways, that is going to lead us to the question of the day. Should the Phoenix Suns have pulled the trigger on the trade for Kristaps Porzingis? Let me know down in the comment section below, but that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to smack that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more daily NBA news. Thank you once again for watching. I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow, but until then, keep getting the Bucks to SEC, and I'm out of here. Peace!